Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have a crazy mix up of some decks, and I've always been a fan of mixing in multiple archetypes together. This one's pretty crazy. It's got Dogmatika, it's got the live or evil twins, and on top of that we've got Amazement and the magical musketeers all in one deck. And surprisingly, they do happen to have a lot of synergy, especially with the magical musketeers being able to be very reactive during your opponent's turn when you activate some extra back row that you can potentially search off of, like the evil twins, because they are kind of a draw power engine. Then you have the Dogmatika for the surprise factor, kind of in a sense where you're able to go potentially negate your opponent's stuff during their turn. And on top of that, the Amazements are going to be very reactive, as well as that is an archetype that is all about the back row, which will facilitate your magical musketeers being able to utilize their effects. But nonetheless, you are going to be seeing some gameplay over here that is going to definitely be showing off part of the mix-ups with the archetypes. And what's really awesome is you have access to basically negating what you want at the right time. You can see over here we're also bringing out the Arlecchino over here, which has that awesome ability if a trap card is activated that you can just special summon this card from your hand. So maybe if you've already utilized all of your cards they attack into you, you can then go and bring out this card, and then on top of that you're going to be able to maybe equip something to your opponents, and then depending on if it's your turn or your opponent's turn, the Amazement archetype, they have different things that can be activated. So like the Horror House, you get to target Amazement monster you control or a face-up monster your opponent controls, you equip it to it, and then based on the equipped monster's controller, if it's your monster, you get to target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects. But keep in mind that's still activating on your side of the field. Then you could activate the magical musketeers effects, which can be pretty good too. And also if it's on your opponent, you can change it to face down defense position. But what's really good with it is it definitely allows your magical musketeers to kind of pop off a little bit more, as the Amazement archetype, I really haven't seen people play it too often, but I think that they have some potential if you mix it in right now with some other archetypes. So I think it's kind of a interesting way to go ahead and play. This one is going to be against like an Inspector Border deck, and the guy gets wrecked pretty hard, but there's still a lot of decent traps in YuGiOh. And also I feel like just in general I haven't seen that many like trap heavy decks. I mean obviously like Eldritch, but like that's like a different way of I think playing the game, where basically all the cards just facilitate bringing out another card, so it's like you have infinite, right? But for the most part, this is going to be a very trap-heavy deck, so I wanted to go ahead and give you guys something a little bit newer over here. And he just got that effect stop, and he was like, nope. Not only did he lose out on the effect to go for all of the, destruction or whatever effect that you want on the Rainbow Neos, but then he got lost winded, so his attack was happening. He's just going to lose into it. And, it's hard to recover if you're out of cards in, like, an anti-meta-ish deck, which is kind of what I'm guessing was. Anything with Inspector Border and I guess like a Stardust Assault mode. At the end of the day, that's what they are trying to do. But next up over here, we'll see traps versus traps. So trap tricks versus the Dogmatika, Magical Musketeer, Evil Twin, Amazement deck, because I think that this would be a little bit more of a matchup where you guys get to see a bunch of reoccurring resources, as the Magical Musketeers are really good at out-resourcing opponents, especially because you can surprise them with your cards. It's very hard to react to like certain cards where not only is it almost in a sense where it's a hand trap, but on top of that they are potentially things where they can add it to your hand, and your opponent can't really outplay a lot of the back row just because of the way it works in Magical Musketeers. But anyways, cross domination is activated over here, just making its effect negated, so he's not going to be able to go plus with that, and he's just going to go and take some small damage. And it's really hard to top deck after Magical Musketeers can really set up, especially since there's a lost win, which is something that the Magical Musketeer archetype didn't really have, which was like negate monster effects. But now when you can mix in the Dogmatika, you can potentially have some extra hate for some monsters, and as well as the Amazements can potentially also facilitate being able to negate monster effects maybe a little bit better than what the Magical Musketeers could offer, because I would say that's one of their bigger problems. Being able to spot spell and traps is good. Technically you do have the card, the cross domination, but the thing is a lot of the Magical Musketeer cards potentially are like a once per turn, and sometimes you need to negate multiple times. And again, that's what facilitates in this build over here. The access to the Dogmatika can also be another form of disruption. And we even got to see one of the Swordsman's cards, which I actually really like. But now that you guys have seen it, and actually let me go and give you guys like a brief little rundown of the deck profile courtesy of Spaghetti Rolls, aka Floppy Magikarp. So thank you so much for the mix-up. But I'm going to give you guys a brief little deck profile. So this is a card I wanted to talk about. It's not really related to like mixing it in this deck in particular, but Swordmaster of the Bewitching Iris was technically used in one of the gameplays here, but being able to, once you go ahead and where is it? If a monster whose effects were negated on the field, you can just special summon it, and then if your opponent special summons a monster, you get to either draw 2 cards or special summon a monster from your hand. So it allows you to have more plays, and I like that idea. It is really, really cool. And then also with extra negation that has came out since Magical Musketeers, like Droplet is just still a fantastic Yu-Gi-Oh card in general. So I think that that's awesome. But on top of that, let's go ahead and hop into like a brief little deck profile. So this card is not really like super important for the archetype, but I think it's a cool card. So Swordmaster of the Bewitching Iris. Then we have the Fleur-de-Lis. That's the card where, you know, you're able to potentially have that negate if you control another Dogmatika monster, which of course will be your Excelsia. And then we have Arlecchino over here. He's like the heart and soul pretty much of the Amazement archetype. And then we have 2 copies of the Starfire, 3 copies of the Casper, one of the most important cards here. So it's just like a small engine for like all of these, but you know, obviously it adds up over time. And the Live Twins are kind of here just for extra draw power to go ahead and cycle through things. It does technically allow you to go into more Link monsters as well, so that's kind of nice. But we have the Live Twin Kiskill, then 1 copy of the Live Twin Kiskill Frost, and 2 copies of Live Twin Lilla. Again, these are basically just used for extra like draw power and having more monsters on the board for, again, Link options. And then we have the Nadir Servant, and then we have 3 copies of the Secret Passphrase over here, which lets you just, it's just a searcher for add Live Twin or Evil Twin spell/trap. And then you can actually add a monster if you control a Lilla monster, so that's kind of cool. And then we have just the Upstart Goblin. Now, what is the point of Upstart in over a 40-card deck? Well, it works with the Magical Musketeers. That's the reason why. And then Live Twin Entrance, or Live Twin Home, I guess is what they've changed the name to in the TCG, but then Droplet. So 3 copies of that, and then this just lets you discard, then special summon 1. And then we have 2 copies of Droplet. You guys probably have already seen it. It's nothing too special for this. Then we have the Amazing Time Ticket. We actually just got confirmation this card is coming out in Lightning Overdrive for the TCG. So this just lets you go ahead and add an Amazement. Again, once you have 1 Magical Musketeer, like anything that searches out is just so free plus. Remember back in the day, people were actually running some of the Toon cards in the Magical Musketeers, if you guys remember that as well. And then Cross Domination. Keep in mind, if you want to bump up the copies of certain cards, like there is some stuff that can recycle, but Yu-Gi-Oh has gotten to the point where it's really fast, so I mean, I think it could be totally an option if you wanted to play Magical Muskets and then just played like 1 copy of each card, because again, since it's once per turn anyways, and a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh games end relatively fast, that could actually be something to take into consideration. Obviously, that can hurt your draw power for like drawing, you know, into it at the start, but because you have other cards, the Live Twins can help you draw. Technically, this is a draw power card that you could draw into some of these other cards. They'll be active during your opponent's turn as well. And they have 2 copies of Warning Points, so you have if a monster summoned, it can't be having its effects, and it can't be used as material, so it kind of locks your opponent out, which is actually just more, extra deck hate. And then we have 2 copies of the Desperado, 1 copy of the Amazement Attraction Cyclone Coaster. Again, you can have different effects depending on if it's on your opponent's or yours. And again, some of the cards, like Amazing Time Ticket, like I said, is coming out in the TCG pretty soon. Depending on whose turn it is, you can either, if it's your turn, you get to add 1, so just, again, lets you activate a searcher, but if it's your opponent, you get to set 1, which, again, that would actually proc. Being able to be a quick play, too, is pretty important because, again, when anything is activated, if a spell or trap is activated, it doesn't have to be a Magical Musketeer card, which is really awesome for that. But anyways, then we got 2 copies of Lost Wind, 2 copies of Trap Trick, 2 copies of the Dragma Punishment, or Dogmatika, and then we have the Amazement Attraction Horror House, and then 1 copy of the Last Stand. And since it is a counter trap, so it's really good to be able to stop your opponent. And it's kind of harder to stop things. Back in the day, like Solemn was like the only thing that we really ran for a long time that was able to stop everything that was generic. in the game that would be able to negate something. But as far as extra goes, we got 2 copies of Max. This could be really good if you are going second. I love this card, especially if you can go hit your opponent up with this and then follow up with like a huge amount of like either searching for a bunch of spells and traps or magical muskets. I love it. And then we got Masquerade, and then we have 2 copies of the Evil Twin Lila, and then Kiss Kill. We got 3 copies of that. Unicorn, Axis Kotalker, Untrained Abomination, which you guys did actually get to see in the gameplay. And then the Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, really awesome, being able to use your opponent's card. Again, with the Magical Musket, it's sometimes you can pull off crazy stuff with it. You know, like after, you know, let's say you go for this and you're able to have all your monsters survive. Potentially your opponent makes something really good, and maybe you can make that the following turn if everything goes all according to plan, because this does have the effect. Where is it? During either player's turn, no, it's there's no downside really to this. I guess you could do it in the same turn, huh? I think that this could be a pretty cool combo. I mean, most of the time you probably get more benefit off of leaving them though. But in chess, it's obviously really, really good with the Dogmatika engine, just to be able to activate and just pop another card and then get your effect of the Magical Musketeers. And then we have the Titan Clad, the Ash Dragon. But anyways, that's going to go and wrap it up for the deck profile. But thanks again, Flappy Magikarp, for the deck as well as the deck profile. But if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. And if you're new here and do want to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh videos in the future, like crazy mix-ups like this, subscribe, kill the bell, and you'll see more very soon. If you guys want to send me other replays of crazy mix-ups or other things, as there hasn't been any new announcements of new Yu-Gi-Oh cards recently. If you guys got cool ideas, feel free to send it in to azneyesreplays@gmail.com, or you guys can just hit me up and send me in the replay file via the Discord. But take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.